What a weekend of football we have to come, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the Championship playoff final, League 1 and 2 playoff final, and the finale of the Premier League as well. At the end of this weekend, we'll know who's playing in the Championship next season, who's been promoted out of Luton and Coventry, who we got coming up from League 1 and down from the Premier League as well. So it's going to be absolutely spectacular. In today's video, we're going to be going ahead and previewing both the Championship and League 1 playoff final. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on these matches in the comments down below. We'll start out with the Championship, then end with League 1. Without any further ado, let's jump in. So it's Coventry against Luton at Wembley, and this is very much David going up against David. There's no real Goliath in this tie in terms of the underdog story that both teams and how they battled against the odds to get into this position. It's absolutely amazing, and do you know what? I'm actually expecting one of the tightest playoff finals we've ever had. The bookies currently have Luton as the slight favourites for this game, and I think I just about agree with that on the balance of probability. You know, this is a Luton side who finished third in the Championship with 11 more points than Coventry, but what equalises this game out to a really fascinating one is the match winners that Coventry have within their side. And I mean, looking over both teams right now, I really don't think that either fan base will be feeling overwhelmingly confident or nervous on the balance of how I think a lot of people see this game going. In terms of what we saw from both sides over the two legs in the playoffs, we had Luton going up against Sunderland. A few vulnerabilities were maybe exposed in that second half at the Stadium of Light, but they more than brought it back with that game at Kenilworth Road, and were just able to bully Sunderland off the pitch in that one. Something they're probably not going to be able to do to this Coventry side. If we think about how good Coventry have been defensively for the vast majority of the season, but especially in this second half of the season, and what we saw them do to Middlesbrough, limit a free scoring side under Michael Carrick to just 3 shots on target over the 2 matches they played against them. That right there is why this game is going to be so tight, and how each team has a threat and something up their sleeve to stifle the opposition. We all know how strong Luton are from set piece situations, for example. Well, Coventry have got the best defensive record from set-piece situations this season, only conceding 6 in the regular Championship season. Coventry have got one of the best back lines in the league in terms of a variety of skill sets. You've got McFadzean in there, who's the real leader in that side. Callum Doyle, who I think's come on leaps and bounds during his loan spell with Man City. And McNally, on loan from Burnley, who's just added that bit of class to proceedings as well. All defenders really strong in the air. They've also got a bit of ball playing ability in there as well. And they will be a good matchup for the Luton front two, who were able to bully Sunderland in the end. But Carlton Morris, no doubt the main threat coming into this game from a Luton perspective. Goes a little bit under the radar, but Adebayo I think will also have a big role to play. He's a real handful for defenders and often takes a little bit of the presence away from Morris, so he's able to do his best sort of work. And I know that Adebayo at times this season has been a little bit wasteful, and he's probably not got the goals to show for this campaign that he would have liked to, but overall the two of them work together flawlessly as a duo, and that's where this game could be won for Luton. In terms of Luton's other major strength, for me it's their midfield and the power they actually have in that position. I think that Marvelous Nakamba coming in January just elevated that position up to a new level, and I mean, with how big the Wembley pitch is and how much space they're going to have to cover with that press and things like that, him next to and Panzu are going to be absolutely crucial to this one. We saw in the second leg against Sunderland just how in tandem they can work together, and how they don't let the opposition breathe at times. And ultimately, they're going to be trying to shut down arguably the best player on the pitch in Gustavo Hamer. And talking about where this game could be won from a Coventry perspective, I think it all relates to their magic man in the middle. Of course, it's Victor Gyökeres who will be getting on the end of things and looking to make things happen in the final third. Look to get a Luton defender isolated in a 1v1 situation and craft out a chance or two for himself. But the player that makes this overall Coventry side tick is Gus Hamer in the middle, and thinking if he can get the better of one of those Luton midfielders and start to open up this game and get Gyökeres off on a few transitions, and thinking how much space Gyökeres will potentially have to run into in this game, that's a really exciting battle where the game could also be won. To be honest, I'm not expecting either side to boss the possession in this one, and I also see the chances between both teams being fairly even as well. There wasn't much to separate them in terms of the head-to-heads when they met earlier on in the season. Both games between Coventry and Luton did end level, and I think there's every possibility that this game goes the distance. Full time, extra time, and maybe even to penalties as well. But this is where it's time to put my neck on the line, and how do I personally see this matchup going? Like I said, I don't see either side properly bossing the ball, and I do think that there will be chances at either end for both sides to go ahead and score. I don't think it's going to be a goal fest. I truly think we are going to go the distance in this one, and we're at least going to go past the 90-minute mark. So in normal time, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw between these sides. Just think that the game changes that Coventry have in that team, and Gus Hamer and Gyökeres, one of them is going to produce a moment that will get the better of Luton at some point. But equally to that, I just think the overall cohesive unit of this Luton side also has more than enough to get a goal or two in this game as well. So I can see both teams scoring, while I also see it being a very tight game. So in normal time, I'm going 1-1 between these two. And then in extra time, I'm going to say both teams are going to ease up a little bit. That's when things start to get a little bit more tense and no side really wants to go ahead and throw it away. We think about how hard that Luton midfield actually works as well. I think there's a potential that they could run themselves into the ground a little bit if they are going for the full 120 minutes. But I actually see it going past that as well. So after extra time, I'm also going to say it ends 1-1. And on penalties, to be promoted, in my opinion, I think Luton may just snatch it by the slimmest of margins. I'm going with my gut feeling right now, and it's certainly no slight on Coventry, because I do truly see this one going the distance. In previous years, I've been a little bit more bold with who I see outright winning it, but I truly think we'll have a tight spectacle like this, because that's how the playoffs have really been so far this season. We saw how Coventry were brilliantly able to edge past Middlesbrough. I think there'll be a real threat for Luton in this game as well. But my gut feeling right now is saying 1-1 between these two, and Luton just snatch it on penalties. And then switching over to the League One playoff final, we've got Barnsley against Sheffield Wednesday, and oh my god, the playoff semi-finals did not disappoint, especially Sheffield Wednesday. I think I, like the vast majority of us, had completely ruled them out of any sort of second leg comeback after how dismal they were in that first leg, Peterborough beating them 4-0. But the playoffs are a special thing, and to overturn that, to win it on penalties in the end, there's got to be so much momentum coursing through the veins of those Wednesday players. But the fact that we've got a Yorkshire derby set up at Wembley just sets this one up perfectly. And let's not forget that this is a Sheffield Wednesday fan base who is bringing a lot of playoff scars to Wembley with them in this one. You know, they had those two unsuccessful playoff campaigns in the Championship not too long ago. Obviously, the last time out in League One, it was semi-final heartache from them as Sunderland got the better of them. And Barnsley are going to be a real tough nut to crack in this one. They got the better of a good Bolton side over two legs in their playoff semi-finals, and have been a little bit more level-headed, I think it's probably fair to say, of late than Sheffield Wednesday, who have just been riding a wave of different emotions, thinking they've got the top two sealed off, to then fall away from that, thinking it's going to be playoffs, the way the first leg went, in the low of that, to then the high of the second leg. Just feels like Barnsley are a little bit more stable at the moment, and whether or not that will suit them in a playoff final, time will tell, because emotion can be a very powerful thing. In terms of the head-to-heads between these two so far this season, in the normal League One season, it is Barnsley who does have the edge on Sheffield Wednesday. They actually did the double over them in the regular season, and quite an emphatic 4-2 victory at Oakwell the last time these two sides played as well. Now, the bookies do have Sheffield Wednesday as the favourites for this one, understandably so. They accumulated more points within the regular season and showcased in that second leg against Peterborough that they are capable of something truly spectacular. But I think what we saw from Wednesday over the course of both legs was the real strengths of this side under Darren Moore, and the gaping vulnerabilities that Barnsley will also look to take advantage of as well. There's a nice blend of experience and youth within both sides. I do potentially see a few more goals being scored in this game than I do Coventry-Luton, which I think will be a little bit tighter. It does just feel like destiny for Sheffield Wednesday after how that second leg went, but it is worth remembering that one of the greatest ever playoff semi-final moments, I think we can all agree, was that Deeney moment against Leicester. But let's not forget forget that Watford then went on to lose that playoff final, so there's every chance that the emotions of Wednesday sort of get to them in this one. I'm going to go with my gut feeling, and do you know what? My gut is telling me that I actually think Barnsley may sneak this one, which may go against the popular opinion, certainly against what the bookies are saying at the moment. I just think it'd be so typical Wednesday to go from the high of that semi-final to then Barnsley sort of ruining the party in this one. Score prediction, myself personally, I think I'm just edging Barnsley for a 2-1, you know. But whatever way it goes, can't wait to see the Barnsley or Sheffield Wednesday back in the Championship next year. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I want to get your predictions down below. How do you see both the Championship and League One playoff finals going? We should be in for a couple of absolutely cracking games. And if you have been keeping up to date with League Two as well, do get your thoughts down below on that game. But apart from that, thanks for watching. Do stick around for some regular Championship content, and I'll see you all in the next one.